Welcome to episode 11 of the Dream Day podcast. It's not an episode we should be laughing at the start of.
No.
So today's topic is euthanasia, or more commonly known as fuck, I can't speak. As
Assisted suicide.
yeah. So fuck, I can't think of the word. What is it called? Clinically? No, not clinically, not chemically, but fucking
Medically?
alright. Yeah, medically assisted suicide. That's what it is.
Euthanasia is the practice of intentionally ending life to relieve pain and suffering. Um, as far as I'm aware, there's only one country in Europe which allows euthanasia by law, and that is Switzerland. Anyone who No, I can't really say anyone has had experience with euthanasia because you wouldn't be able to answer my question. But if there's another country that allows it in Europe, please do drop a comment or.
It's legal in the Netherlands, Belgium, Colombia, Luxembourg, Western Australia, Canada, and Spain.
Wait, say the list again?
According to wait, what the fuck is this website? I don't know. It's some website. Yeah, as you said, it's Switzerland
Mm.
as well as Netherlands, Belgium,
Oh.
Luxembourg, Canada, in Quebec only, Colombia, Australia, in the state of Victoria,
Oh,
the
okay.
Australian state of Victoria. Yeah, I don't know if that's like the thing of the name of the country or some shit. I don't know. Apparently, it's legal in several states now of the U.S. In
Mm.
Oregon, Washington, Vermont, California, Colorado, Washington D.C., Hawaii, New Jersey, Maine, and Montana.
That's quite a lot of places.
Yeah, they all have laws or court rulings allowing doctor-assisted suicide for terminally ill patients.
Ah.
France, actually.
So quite a
Uh,
lot of European countries then, safe to
yeah,
say.
palliative sedation, in which someone can ask to be deeply sedated until they die, is permitted in France. Well, so not really assisted dying, but someone can ask to be deeply sedated until they die. So
So
they
they're
won't.
constantly asleep, right?
Yeah, basically. So they sleep forever. New
Okay.
Zealand as well. So yeah, a ton of countries actually.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Wait. New Zealand, voluntary euthanasia passed the second vote. Alright, so no, it's not guaranteed in New Zealand, but uh, yeah, I don't know. Alright, fuck that. Anyways, today we're going to discuss the topic of euthanasia. So, doctor-assisted suicide, basically, to end someone's pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Alright, so I can start off by telling a story that I saw. I think it was on TV or on YouTube or something,
Okay.
where there was a kid who lived with disease that would cause him to be completely uh, numb. No, not numb, but he would be he couldn't move. Okay,
So
I,
paralysis.
yeah, basically his whole body was paralyzed, so he couldn't move. He couldn't do anything
Mm.
other than sit inside his room all day, and he couldn't even go to school because he couldn't even speak because his whole body was completely paralyzed. So,
That's pretty
um,
rough actually. That's
yeah,
shit.
yeah, it is. I don't remember which country they were from, and I don't remember
Mm.
the name of the disease, but apparently, the kid had set a date 2 years ahead of time because that's the date where he was gonna die. So what they did is, when that date came, they flew over to Switzerland, and sorry for my word use, but he was put down. So, doctor-assisted suicide. What do you think of the concept of doctor-assisted suicide when it comes to terminally ill and patients under great suffering and pain which can't be cured?
Well, this topic came to mind after I recently watched a movie called Me Before You. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
No, but I think I'm gonna check it out before I go to sleep today. So
It's honestly it's really really good. Emilia Clarke is in it.
I don't.
Um,
Oh yeah, is it the girl from Hundred? The Hundred?
no, it's the Queen Daenerys from Game of Thrones. The
I haven't
dragon,
watched Game of Thrones yet, but
the
I know I
dragon woman.
yeah the blonde chick with the big dragons. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All
Um,
right, now I know who you're talking about.
Pretty much, this guy was in a motorcycle accident. He was walking to his office, and then he got hit by a motorcycle, and he broke his neck, and he
So he was
was
paralyzed.
completely paralyzed. You could only move his face and one or two fingers,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah. That happens when if you break your neck, the big nerve in the nerve that goes like straight up and through your body. That's also the thing that makes you sick, by the way, when you get kicked in balls, because the signal goes through your stomach up to your brain and back down. Yeah, that's the reason you get sick by getting kicked in balls. Anyways,
that's
if
a
you break,
pretty cool fact.
yeah, I saw a video about that. It was the infographic show. I don't know if you know who that YouTuber or that
No.
YouTube group. Yeah, but they make really interesting videos, and you get the answer to a lot of questions, which you might as well ask if you have a random thought one day. But anyways,
Or
if you
you could just
break
come
in,
to our podcast. We
yeah,
also.
or you could just come here and listen to us cunts talking about this shit.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, if you break your neck, what could happen is one, you could sever that nerve, which will instantly kill you. That would instantly kill you. If you get if it pushes on the nerve, like it just pushes it and bends the nerve, you could either die or there's a low chance that you will get paralyzed from the neck down. So it's actually, I would say, I'm not gonna say much, but I would say you're rather lucky, very lucky actually, if you get paralyzed by breaking your neck instead of dying.
But on the other side, arguably, it's better to die than to never be able to move again. And I think that's where euthanasia also comes in, right?
Yeah, it depends from each person's point of view, of course.
Very true.
Uh, but yeah, so the whole concept about euthanasia is to put someone out of their misery, which they have a condition that can't be cured and can't be dealt with, basically.
Yeah.
So, I've heard, I think I've heard some stories about people actually having like seriously crippling depression, which was incurable, and they've gone through euthanasia to end their suffering,
Mm.
which is quite sad, really, because technically, physically, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they've become so depressed and it's incurable. So either live your life in complete pain and suffering and have giant mood swings and suicidal thoughts every day, or die.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So the concept of euthanasia is to put someone out of their misery, basically.
And I think euthanasia might also take the pressure off the person, because I think when it comes to suicide, so me taking my own life, for example,
Yeah, there's a lot
um,
of barriers.
I've always been scared of taking my own life. Like, I've had my suicidal thoughts, and I have had attempts at suicide, but there's also always been that will to live, that like born in human will to carry
Yeah,
on
the
living.
survival instinct.
Yeah, and that is probably the biggest obstacle when it comes to taking my own life is overcoming that barrier. I think
Yeah, because they're yeah.
when it comes to euthanasia, I know that I am killing myself, but someone else is doing the killing for me, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, so the pressure's not on your shoulders.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I can sort of ease myself into death with my own
into
hands, but
non-existence.
yeah, but at the hands of someone else at the same time.
Yeah, well, um, like, the thing with euthanasia that's probably so hard is that it it's basically telling someone to murder you. Like, I get all the pain and suffering part, and that you don't want to live with all of these consequences of living, but you're basically telling someone to murder you. It is
I
basically murder, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. And the laws here in the UK state that if anyone is to take someone to get euthanized, they can go to prison for assisted murder.
Yeah, exactly.
In very rare cases, do those people actually go to prison? But it is still in the law that if I were, let's say, my dad or my mum have got a very, very, very bad illness and they're not going to recover, or my dad's been in an accident and he can't move, and he says to me, Philip, look, can you please take me to Switzerland so I no longer have to feel this pain? That is quite a lot of stress on myself because obviously I don't want my own father to die or my mother.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also could I mean, it's easy to say, like, oh, yeah, I would be okay with it because I know that he's ending his suffering. But at the same time, that's just theoretical. That's hypothetically speaking. In the
Yeah.
situation itself, I think I'd have a completely different reaction. But on my mind, at least, I think I would still be like, shit, man, I was the one that took my dad to get killed. So the emotional toll on myself would be,
The
I
guilt
assisted
would be
to murder.
immeasurable.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if you help someone kill themselves, you're basically killing them instead of
yeah.
telling them that it's not worth it, you shouldn't go through with this and stuff like that, and trying to actually help the person get through all of these challenges. You're basically telling them to fuck off. Like, I know it sounds harsh, but that is basically what you're doing. And I know that the guilt and the immeasurable toll emotionally that it puts on you, but you ba- you're basically telling that person that, it's okay for you to die.
If we
And
take
that's
a look, yeah, go on.
and that's a hard thought to think about,
Yeah,
because if you understand that person's pain, you might understand what they're going through and everything like that, but you just, you're still telling them that it's okay for them to die. And doing that kind of devaluates their value in life.
maybe that would also drive them more willingly to get euthanized.
Yeah, because if people would agree that you would die, you would start to think that yourself. It's the
Mm.
same as if someone tells you every day that you're ugly, you're eventually going to believe that you're ugly, no matter how much you think you look good yourself. You're still going to have that thought in the back of your head that I'm ugly, I'm ugly.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, euthanasia is a sad thing, but I also agree with it, and I think it should be legalized here in the UK. However controversial that opinion may seem, simply because if I were in a position like that, and again, hypothetically speaking, if I were to be in constant pain and suffering, I would. I don't really want to say it's taking the easy way out, but I guess to a certain extent it is. Um, and with taking the easy way out, I don't want to devalue life.
Yeah,
And
one thing is when you talk about legalizing euthanasia, you also have to kind of put up, or you're gonna have to uh, put up standards for what is agreeable, like what conditions are agreeable for euthanasia. Sorry, can't speak today for some reason. But you've also got to have a standard, because if you don't have a standard, then shit's just gonna get confusing. Then it will all be based on personal experience and like subjective sense of suffering. And
yeah, I agree.
when it, yeah, and for example, if someone's had it bad their whole life, and I've thought about this before, and if someone's had a bad life and they have a completely horrible day, the difference between those other days and that day is going to be much smaller than someone who's had an amazing life and has a bad day.
Yeah,
So if you don't have standards, all you're gonna get is just confusion and subjective morality. Basically, you're gonna have to have someone to judge whether or not it's all right. And who are we to judge who's gonna die or not? Like, that's
yeah,
fucked in my book. Well, I've grown up in Norway. I've had a pretty decent life. I'm not gonna lie, I've had a decent life. So my moral visions and my ethnic visions might be different from certain other people who's lived through other things and stuff like that. But it just kind of seems wrong to me to not have a standard. The same with a lot of, for example, I'm not going to get too much into this because it's very controversial, but a lot of like sexual harassment claims and stuff like that, for example. If things are going to work out and due process, I believe in due process. I believe that everything that people actually should go through the due process before they get judged. All right, that's
yeah,
just yeah, exactly. Um, but for that to work, you've got to have a standard of what's subjective sense and what's the legal sense, right? So I would say personally that I would put the standard very high for euthanasia. I would put the standard very high for chronic illnesses that, for example, cause immeasurable physical pain every day or on a weekly basis, for example,
mm,
um, or physical illnesses that has you immobilized, so you've got to have complete help to do every normal task that you would do in your every day-to-day life, and and uncurable. I want to say incurable mental illnesses as well, but the thing is,
that's subjective at the end of the day, I think.
yeah, because you never know how much someone's suffering in their head. You can know how much someone's suffering physically, but in their
Yeah,
own head, you're not really gonna know how much they actually are suffering, because someone could have, as I told you, a good life and a bad day has a bigger gap between it than a bad life and a terrible day.
yeah,
But for example, that person who's had a bad life could be um, less depressed than the person that's had a good life, even though, yeah, even though he's had a bad life or he's gone off much worse than the other person. But
yeah,
so mental illnesses, I wouldn't really recommend that to be a valid reason for euthanasia. Mental illnesses is a very hard topic. We had an episode where we talked a little bit about depression, for example, and it's a very difficult topic because it all comes down to subjective sense.
Yeah.
of your own pain and suffering. And you can't judge someone's subjective sense of something. You don't know what they feel about something, right?
I
So
I, I also want to
it's just
say,
very difficult.
um, as you were saying, someone who has an amazing life and one shit day is different to someone who has a bad life and one bad day. If we put that into a perspective, let's say you and I, Alex,
Yeah.
we both have had roofs over our heads and plenty of food, water, enough money to get what we want, right?
Yeah, and we've had TVs in our rooms and Xboxes and PlayStations, and we've had entertainment to keep us distracted from things.
Yeah, we have a lot, and I think we're very, very privileged in that.
So do I.
However, let's take someone from an African village who has never even heard of Europe, possibly, who doesn't have a TV, who don't even have running water in their homes. Arguably, some of them have better lives than us, which is quite perverse, actually, because
Yeah, it sounds fucked when you say it because it's a very hard no, it's a very easy statement to misunderstand. But what we're talking about now is the subjective sense of good life,
yeah,
right? So how you
exactly,
feel about your own life, how happy you are to live your own life. That's what we're talking about. So we're not talking about the physical qualities like water, entertainment, roofs over our houses, stuff like that. We're not talking about the material stuff. We're talking about subjective sense of a good life.
yeah, exactly. I think those people live happier and perhaps more fulfilling lives because the way I see it in our society, it's just like a rat run, basically. Who can make the most money? Who can drive the most expensive car? Who can have the most designer clothes? That's the way I view
Competitive
our society. It's very much focused on what can be touched, what can be used to make a statement. Whereas,
materialism, basically.
yeah, exactly. Whereas I believe in an African village, perhaps, the children grow up happier because they haven't sort of gotten that taste of the high life, perhaps, as I could say.
Yeah, because when the only thing you've known is being down in the dumps, being down in the dumps won't be as bad as having ridden the high life all your life and then being down in the dumps.
Exactly.
Because you think that that dump you've been in is the best you can get it. It's
Yeah,
a happy life.
I agree. And I think that links quite good back to the movie that I was talking about. The guy who got paralyzed, he was living his best life. He was a very young, successful investment banker, going on holiday every year, doing sports, skiing, wakeboarding, all that sort of stuff. And then he had the accident. And the decision that he made in the movie was that he did want to end his life in the end. He was going to get euthanized.
Yeah.
Because one thing that really stuck to me in that movie is when he said to his caregiver, so a little bit of context, she was taking him on holiday and taking him to horse races, operas, that sort of stuff to try and rekindle his desire to live. And
All
then
right.
I'm going to paraphrase this, but he said to her, "That is the life I used to live, but not the life I'm living now." And that really like reinforced his will to die. I would say, because even though she tried to give him the life that he used to have, he just couldn't have it anymore.
Yeah, it was out of his reach, literally, because he can't reach it.
Yeah, stuck in a wheelchair, a lot of pain, and it's just no longer the same.
Yeah, well, the thing is, one of the good things about entertainment is that you can basically enjoy entertainment no matter what. Well, I'm not gonna say no matter what, but in most physical conditions, you can enjoy entertainment the same.
Yeah.
So I think it was just the weight of the accident and the weight of all the things that he used to feel that he can't feel anymore.
Hmm.
It ruined everything for him because that's the only thing he could think about.
I think so as well. Yeah. Because he literally had the life, like to the outside person, he was living the dream that a lot of people don't actually live. Successful, he was popular, he had a model girlfriend who then left him as soon as he got paralyzed.
Oh, bro, I wanna fucking punch that bitch in the face. Sorry,
And then
continue.
the thing is, she then marries his best friend.
I wanna fucking punch that bitch in the face.
Yeah, because he was no longer the man that he he was. I think that really took its toll on him as well. That he didn't see a way for him to feel and experience all those things that he used to.
Yeah.
He told his parents that he was going to give them 6 months to like find help for him and to try to change his mind. The 6 months go by. He does all these things like go to the Caribbean, I think, someplace like that, on holiday with his carer. But it's still,
One thing.
yep.
I one thing to say. I think the one thing they did wrong in that situation, they focused way too much on the material stuff. Because when you have a toll that big, material stuff, it doesn't matter anymore. That's not what you care about. When you're
Mm.
paralyzed, you don't care that you can't no, can't play basketball anymore. You
Can't
just
jerk
care
off,
that.
huh?
Oh, yeah, that too, mate. For sure, for sure.
No
But
more
the
slop
thing,
top.
yeah, but the thing you care about is your body, which works perfectly before you can't move it at all,
Mm.
and you would feel so empty because you would literally be just a shell with nothing inside.
He can't even feel his body as well. He can only feel his face.
Oh, that's fucked.
Yeah, like his entire body is numb. He doesn't feel pain in his legs when he's sweating. Can't even feel the touch of a person.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, I really hope I never have to experience that. But I think it's also
Neither do
understandable.
I.
Yeah, I think it's understandable why he chose euthanasia, because he just I want to say he just couldn't bear feeling that way anymore.
Yeah. And to be quite frank, I kind of understand it. I do kind of understand the decision he made because the life you've known your whole life, when your life literally gets ripped, physically ripped out of your body,
Mm.
it just it ruins everything. It would ruin absolutely everything, everything that you've ever known. And especially when you're in love with someone and they leave you because of an accident, something that was beyond your control.
And then marries his best friend as well at the time,
Yeah,
which
come
is
on.
such
You
a
know,
horrible
yeah,
thing.
all right, you know what? If to anyone out there, if you're a woman and you do something like that to a guy, I will find you and I will give you a straight kick to the face, all right? I don't give a shit if you're a woman. I don't give a shit if I'm 30 centimeters taller than you. That would just make me easier to reach, all right? I would literally straight kick you in the face because that, in my eyes, is the definition of a bad person. Someone who's rotten on the inside. Because that girl didn't give a shit about the emotional connection between him and her. All he cared about was that he couldn't move. And that made him leave him. And especially fucking marrying his best friend. Like, come on. Also, to any guys or girls that are best friends, if you fucking marry your best friend's love of your life, fuck out of here. Alright? Fuck out of here. Alright, it's a different thing if you become best friends after he started dating the love of your life. Just gonna put that out there for personal reasons.
No comment.
No comment.
For legal
But,
reasons,
like,
we cannot say more.
For legal reasons, this podcast is getting shut down.
Yeah.
Alright. Enough about morality and stuff like that. I think we're just gonna end this with a simple conclusion because there's really not much else to say, really. If we don't want to keep like repeating ourselves and
Yeah.
talking just into the air, then we should probably draw a conclusion. My conclusion would simply be that euthanasia should be allowed, but the standard, or what would be allowed, the standard for that, would be really high. Physical conditions.
Yep.
Some mental conditions, alright? Some. In extreme cases where there is completely and obviously something wrong with that guy's brain, right?
Mm.
I would accept that. But anything that boils down to subjective sense, I would not allow it.
Yeah. And I think also like a 6-month observation period should be introduced into that standard as well.
Yes, of a due process.
Yeah. Where a person is observed and tested in whatever sense someone might get tested for something like that. I have no clue.
Bro, you can't jack off in 6 months. Just as someone watching you 24/7.
Well, if I'm paralyzed, I can't do that anyways.
Fair enough. Thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure to have you here. If you do have listened, then I appreciate you and I love you. Please date me. Alright, anyway. Anyways, if you do want to, we do have a Patreon that you could check out, if you want to.
Alex regularly posts his ass crack on there, so be sure to check it out.
If you want to see my hairy ass crack, go ahead and send my Patreon. It's the £25 special. Nah, but we do have a Patreon if you want to support us and get us better gear so we can make higher quality podcasts. Yeah, alright. Thank you for listening. Check out our Patreon and check us out on YouTube. They are posted, these podcasts get posted on YouTube as well. They also get posted on Anchor FM as well as
Apple Music,
iTunes, and
basically everything.
Yeah.
Find us anywhere. We're even on BBC iPlayer, and
Wait, are you fucking kidding me? Even BBC?
we're literally everywhere.
Oh damn, bro! I'm feeling like Jesus.
You're looking like Jesus.
I'm looking like Jesus. Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Day podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast, and more can be found at www.deepdaycast.com. Thanks again, and have a great week.